Hello, I'm Ramie.
And I'm Beth.
And this is Brother Knows Quest, the podcast where I, your host, introduce my sister to the wonderful world of tabletop role-playing games. Beth, do you know what we're talking about today?
Cypher System Bestiary?
That's right. It is, well, if you know the Cypher System, there's no real setting. You can just put whatever setting you want in the game. I talk about Cypher System a lot on here. It could be any setting. So why would you make a bestiary? It would have to have everything in it you could imagine. And that's what they done. They actually made a bestiary for the Cypher System. Now, if you buy one of their setting books, like the one we talked about last time, It's Only Magic, they'll have some fantasy creatures and different creatures in the back of the book to fit into a modern fantasy setting. Supernatural, Dresden Files, situations like that. This is a lot of different creatures for just anything. What is on the cover of it?
Dinosaurs and lion with wings, a bird head, as well as a dragon head.
Okay.
A bear.
Yes, a bear. And some aliens that's keeping them all in a zoo, I guess.
I'm going to assume that's what it is.
There's a word for that creature right there that you mentioned. Chimera? I might be wrong. I know there's two I get mixed up. It is a chimera. It's an amalgamation of creatures. It's by Bruce R. Cordell. I got this because I get almost everything Cypher System. I don't know if there's a free sample version of this available, but if there is, I'll link it in the description, as well as you can get the physical and PDF version on Monte Cook Games site, which is where I get all mine, or you could just get the PDF. I use Drive-Thru-RPG when I'm just getting a PDF, and I'll leave a link. It'll be an affiliate link to the Drive-Thru-RPG one down there if you want to help us out and just get the PDF for yourself, and you can do both at the same time. But also, I think you can get it on Amazon now. I'm not sure. It's pretty new, and sometimes it takes a moment to go on Amazon. Let me tell you about the table of contents for one. Part 1's fantasy. Part 2 is horror. Part 3 is fairy tale. Part 4 is modern. Part 5 is science fiction. Part 6 is superheroes. Part 7 is post-apocalyptic. And Part 8 is the Weird West, which, we talked about a Weird West game early on, didn't we? With Savage Worlds. That's a great setting all by itself. Think of zombies and witches and warlocks running around in a Western setting. It's fun. I've got the book in front of me, a PDF version. Do you see anything in there particular you like so far in any setting?
Serial killers.
Is it the modern one?
What do you mean?
Where is it at? What page? Tell me that.
48.
It's in the horror section. Makes sense too.
Yeah.
And it can fit into any setting, really. The murderers happen everywhere. What does it say about serial killers? Anything in particular? Let me see. Did you say 48?
They carry syringes with sedatives.
Like a real modern style serial killer.
Needles dipped in poison.
Every adventuring party in a fantasy game is, in one way or another, a serial killer. This almost has to be modern or horror. In any game we played, how many people die? And it's a coin flip. Is half the time they're innocent or not. Yeah, it's a challenge rating 3. So you have to roll a 9 or better to beat it on 20-sided dice. That's how Cypher System works. Their health is 13.
There's were spiders.
Oh no, that's like the creepiest thing I can imagine.
With all the legs, but it's standing up on 2 of them and a bunch of eyes all over its body.
Okay.
And fuzz.
What section is it in?
It's horror.
Horror again? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they have Thing as well. Like Things, like from the movie, The Thing.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
It's a guy with tentacles coming out of his tummy and like a crab claw coming out of his shoulder, and the other shoulder's got, I'm thinking, what looks like an insect's leg. It's got like 2 toes and a chitinous look. It's creepy. It's a challenge rating 4, so you have to roll a 12 to do most of its tasks or beat it. They have so many different things to choose from. Oh, a devouring mass. I'm gotten into the horror section a few and I just can't leave. It's like the Blob. That's what that is, isn't it? Challenge rating 15 or 5, so it's a 15 roll. There's all kinds of cool things.
There's a were shark, killer toys.
They have layers ideas. Like here's the Thing's layer, and it's a lighthouse. They even give you charts for how deep the water is around it and everything. What?
Killer toy catchphrases.
Oh.
There's Fantabulous, Wonder Blast, Amaze Balls, Epic-tastic, Marvelicious. Marvelicious.
Yeah.
And then there's Fart Sound. Imagine this creepy toy coming after you just making a fart sound. Saying, Amaze Balls.
Every time it stabs you. I haven't been through all the creatures in the back of the horror actual setting book that they have. And I'm sure some of these probably have some crossover, it makes sense. But to have them all in one book is handy enough, especially if you're sitting at a table and you don't have to have so many books around you if you're going to have a lot of crossover. I don't think there's a ton of repeats, to be perfectly honest. I would have remembered things like this. I do like the catchphrase. There's a lot of charts in here I'm noticing. There's a haunted house, which is itself is a challenge rating 6. It tells you what the essence of a haunted house is. The inhabitants of an old house or perhaps another structure awaken the house to its own subtle sentience. And that's how you get haunted houses. You can roll on a chart to see what the house can do, like animate a weapon, recreate an image of an event that happened in a house. That happens a lot in good movies. Make one of the PC's devices stop working. So if they're ghost hunters or whatever you're doing, don't forget Cypher System. You use ciphers. So count that as a device. One of their ciphers just kind of butters out. Animate a toy. And then you could roll on the toy catchphrase chart. Change the view from a window. So you'd be looking out the window and you look back and you're looking at a different side of the house. I would just assume I died or something terrible was going on, like they want you to. Summon a swarm of flies, roaches, or spiders. Then you get turned into a were spider. The former occupants, there's a huge chart. A politician, art collector, an artist, a writer, which would be almost a cliche, but that's why it's here. A serial killer, a sadistic cult, a jilted lover, or you could have haunted buildings, office building, which is a great one. Didn't one of the Poltergeist movies have a apartment complex? A hotel, which is common. A zoo, less common. Lighthouse, common. A cave, okay. Elementary school, if you like anime, that one fits in. A cruise ship, that's a good movie too. They can have one other special thing, like they can possess a PC. They have a whole chart of things here. They can do like a special dominion. Manifest slim from a structure. Oh, you could have a walking house. Teleport a PC from one room to another. Conjure PC's dearest loved one. Then they got vampires in the horror section. I'm trying to find that were spider. Oh my goodness, the were spider. It is furry, Beth. You didn't mention it was furry.
I'm pretty sure I did.
Oh, I didn't remember. It has eyes, but they're everywhere, not just on its head.
Yeah.
There's 3 eyes on its head, but it has one on its arm, 2 or 3 on its stomach. That is horror. Oh, there's the killer toy. That one's adorable. It's got a giant stick pin. Of course, it could be a normal size stick pin. And it's got this sweet smile, but I think its eyes are sewn shut.
I prefer the closer to the back, the apocalypse setting, post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, Rust and Redemption. The horror setting book is called Stay Alive. We covered that, I believe, a few months ago. And we covered, We're All Mad Here, which is more of the fairy tale setting. And they have a lot of things in this book, too, like fairies, outlaws, which you think of Peter Pan and Robin Hood. Satyrs, a pirate, certainly a very Peter Pan feel thing. A pirate ship that has a whole ship, and it looks menacing. Pirate captains, unicorns. What would be a fairy tale without a unicorn? Magical winds. Think of Zephyrus. Hunters and huntsmen, crafted creatures, and it has a picture of a horrifying scarecrow. I think we talked about that in Stay Alive, so that one was in one of those books. Of course, crafted creatures might have been in the horror setting because it does look like Pumpkinhead, a scarecrow. Witches, but this witch is a dude, and he's got a bear pelt covered in jagged horns stuck through it to hold it on, I guess, or he just added it for effect. And he's got a fairy or a pixie on a string tied to its leg like a child with a June bug. Yeah, he doesn't look as friendly as he could. Either that or the pixie is a bad person, and he's actually a very good dude. Don't judge a book by its cover. What else have you found in there? They have a witch house in here.
Like I said, the post-apocalyptic one looked pretty cool.
I haven't got to that yet. I'm looking at them. They have crime bosses in the modern setting, too. You have a table for illicit ventures that they can get into. Basic crime boss, safe house. Secret agent. Assassins. What modern setting wouldn't have assassins? Bounty hunters. Billionaires. We certainly need those in our modern times. I'm pretty sure Billionaires was covered in It's Only Magic.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I was looking at Billionaires as a thing. The basic billionaire bunker. And it has like a 11-floor bunker. So basically the billionaire's lair.
There was...
the artwork is great, by the way.
A rich person's, like, millionaire's bunker thing on an episode of... What was that show I was watching a while back? It's a bunch of people... And they stockpile things.
Preppers?
Well, yes, preppers.
You could also call them hoarders, but it's a little bit more organized. I don't have a problem with prepping. Sure. One day, they'll be the ones who come out on top. That one day. And nobody else will be around to care. And they get to live in that wasteland by themselves. By the way, off topic from what you were talking about, for sure, every chapter, like the fantasy and all that, they have their art and their stat block match the setting. So I'm in the science fiction, and I've got like green background with looks like old computer text fonts on some of the names, and the blocks around the certain stats, they have a very Edge Runner kind of feel to them. I'm guessing the other ones are like that too. They have nanny robots in the sci-fi section, worker robots and technician robots and companion robot. Oh, here, Beth, go to 119 and tell me about companion robots.
That says infantry robot. Oh,
121.
That's 121.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, it should be behind.
Folds.
Oh, really? This is the book I was going to say folded. I knew I had one that folded. It unfolds. Okay. You could see extra pages. See, the PDF don't do that. It just shows you page after page like a PDF.
Okay.
So some of these pages will unfold and give you more stats so you don't have to flip to another page.
Companion bots are marketed as friends for lonely people, and as such, they come closest to looking human, except for green status lights on their hands and neck, designed to identify the robot as artificial. One class of companion bot looks almost entirely human, though by law also possesses green status lights, including being anatomically correct.
I thought the last part of that was all that they meant by companion bot. That's why I was like, oh. Don't kid yourself. If robots and androids get this good, that's one of the biggest buy reasons that somebody would have, I'm sure. Other than just normal loneliness, that kind of companion, I'm doing air quotes, that's exactly what they'd be bought for. Don't say they wouldn't. This is our smutty podcast. Of course, then you got the nanny bot for what comes after.
I don't think
they said anatomically correct. Who knows? My sci-fi can be however weird it wants to be. Infantry bot looks cool, though. It looks very creepy. It almost looks like something out of their Numenera setting, which makes sense because it is high sci-fi, almost to the point of fantasy. Robot names: Echo Z, K41, Professor. That's a good one. T42. They have alien, gray men with obviously a probe, but not. It's a sharp probe, so it looks more like they're going to poke you in the eye or the gut, not where you would assume a probe would go.
Well, it says one of the activities is collecting bird wings, animal paws, cow blood, or similar, and transmuting random pieces of metal into flesh.
Oh, they have appearances here. One's a dome-like bone shell, serves as an environmental suit for living crystalline being inside. Hive mind. Fascinating aliens. They give you plenty of free reign ideas to run. Alien objectives. Prevent humans from engaging in war, murder, and killing animals for food. Well, that's a pacifist alien invasion, and I don't know how that would go. I think they done, what is it? The guys that done Shaun of the Dead, done that pub thing about aliens. Is another movie. The World's End, which is the name of a pub. That's what this movie about aliens that they done were done. Other than Paul, of course. So yeah, the World's End, that's what the pacifist alien invasion was all about. AI, artificial intelligences. That was a topical subject these last few months. What section did you say you enjoyed the most? Post-apocalyptic?
Well, I enjoyed the horror the most, but the post-apocalyptic is...
Oh, it's got an orange color scheme, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Well, it's on page 158.
It is ratamorph. It's a fish that's evolved limbs and teeth.
There's
a mammal
teeth
that's grown scales.
Oh.
These are questions, by the way.
Oh.
Whatever its origin, this 6-foot-long monstrosity is immune to radiation and keen to eat whatever it can find. It's hideous.
The image they got is looks like a sea snake. Or a sea serpent.
With a bunch of teeth all over its body.
Yeah, there's sections of bone or teeth that stick out of it. And then there's like a mouth on its side where it's curling around itself. So the mouth is open. There's also a mouth on its front where a mouth would be and its eyes are at. But there's also, like I said, tons of teeth just sticking out at random places around it. It gives you a rat effect. Smeared with gobbets of previously eaten people. I can't pronounce a lot of these. There's a radioactive bear, which is somewhat cyborg-like. Yeah, it's got metal plates on its chest.
They got roaches, of course.
Of course they have rad roaches. This is the game that we were running when I made the Fallout game a long time ago, and you couldn't hit anything. You
gave me a stick.
Well, in the video game, you can hit a rad roach with a stick pretty easily. You just had trouble doing it. Oh, zombie sprinter, which in Fallout would be a ghoul. A zombie Hulk, which in Fallout would be a super mutant. A zombie sorcerer, which isn't in Fallout. Oh, well, I guess you could if you call the glowing ones that. Warlords, if you want a Mad Max theme. Oh, the Weird West. That's a great set of artwork. They got a lady with looks like a Borderlands-style pistol, revolver. She's got a cybernetic eye and a cybernetic arm, and they all got like orange glowing lights around them or in them.
You just gonna skip past the zombie Hulk?
I mentioned the zombie Hulk, didn't I?
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I said it was like a mutant.
And then there's a zombie spitter, like in...
Sprinter.
That says spitter.
Where are you looking at that?
It's 173 at the top.
Oh, you're right. I was looking at the sprinter right above it. I completely missed it. A zombie singer. That's a good one. It's challenge rating 3. There's so many different, like whatever setting you want to run, you could just throw it in there. And if you wanted to run a setting with all these things in it, you could. It would be like a Rift situation from Savage Worlds. I never played the original Rifts before it became Savage Worlds, so I don't know what that's like. Look on page 180 at the second creature there in the Weird West setting.
The Death Tumbler?
I think it's their take on a tumbleweed.
Rolling with the wind or against it, death tumblers are prickly human-sized tumbleweeds whose thorns are actually animal fangs.
Sounds terrifying. They can play dead because you couldn't tell a tumbleweed from a...
It's glowing red.
But I'm sure if it wasn't glowing, you would think it was a tumbleweed. They're scratchy. Oh, a jackalope. Remember when that blew up when I was in high school?
No.
Everybody was talking about the jackalope for a while.
I don't recall anybody ever talking about it.
You were not in the same grade as me, so maybe that's why. Maybe it was just my class. Look at the Nightcrawler, 181.
Yeah, there's faces in it.
Well, it's better than teeth.
And a wing, and a hand, and another face.
There's a horse sticking out of its side. Tell us what it is, because I'm reading about its intrusions.
Nightcrawlers rise above the soil only far enough to snatch those sleeping rough or under scant shelter, pulling them down beneath the ground to consume them as their leisure. Resembling 20-foot-long earthworms, Nightcrawler's skin is a stitchwork of skin stripped off of past prey, all somehow still animate but voiceless.
You could make a decent graboid out of this.
Yes, even more horrific.
Now, if you go back to our old Cypher system when I covered the basic rulebook setting, or maybe the Monera, I covered this as well, you could have GM intrusions where you give one player an XP, or 2 XP, and they give it to one other player they want, and they get to keep one of the 2 XP. A GM intrusion is basically you throw something at your players they weren't expecting. You can see the one for the Nightcrawler over here. Can you see it? On the far right of the Nightcrawler's name, it says GM intrusion.
Mm-hmm.
Read that.
The animate skin of a human face stitched into the Nightcrawler's hide bites the character, dealing 3 points of damage.
See, they just give you sample intrusions for each of these creatures. Like the jackalope. What was the jackalope's intrusion? If you don't know what a jackalope is, it's like a...
bunny deer.
It's a bunny with deer-like features, including horns. This one in particular has deer-like fur patterns and the white tail from a deer.
The jackalope creates an illusion about the character is entombed in a stone casket. At the end of their next turn, they can start attempting difficulty 5 intellect defense rolls to see through the illusion.
So they have to roll a 15 or better if they don't have certain stats to lower that challenge. Because, again, Cypher System, the player does all the rolls. D&D would be, the DM would be rolling as the jackalope against the players. They have a gunslinger. And this is a cool looking dude. He looks like a classic gunslinger from the West, but he's got purple eyes. His revolver is glowing a nice shade of purple, and it's purple smoke coming out the end of it. It tells you what the essence of them are. Loners who operate on the fringes of the Weird West societies. Gunslingers are fearless and confident, unafraid of death. Who surely stalks them?
Forgeborn, also called golems, are animate figures of metal, reanimated flesh, or other normally inert materials constructed for a specific purpose.
This Forgeborn is a challenge rating 6, so it's an 18 to roll. He's got like I guess it has to be almost a 5-foot-long shotgun, 6-foot-long shotgun in his arm. Or maybe it's a repeater rifle. On the other arm, it looks like a revolver, but it's also enormous, and maybe a grenade launcher. And it's clearly like a steampunk, not a steampunk, but a steam-powered creation. It's got like a smokestack coming out of its back. Other than that, it is a brass-looking, impossibly barrel-shaped human. His chest is huge, his back is huge, and his eyes are orange. And he's got a cowboy hat on and cowboy boots. No spurs. I don't think there's any horse that would hold him. They have good names for them. Maximus, Ironheart, Rustjaw, Isaac. There's another one below him. Forgeborn variety. It looks like a train. He is coal-powered, and he's got like train guards as feet and a giant furnace and a steam whistle. That'd be terrifying. You know it's coming to get you. You hear the steam whistle in the distance. You're like, well, I got to get moving. The ever awake and on the hunt train man's on his way to get me. A flesh mare. If you want an alchemical version of a Forgeborn, they have that. It's basically a golem made through alchemy. It looks like almost like a diver's suit that's animated. A Frankenstein-style gunslinger called a Deadshot. How many pages of monsters are there? Start at the first beast you see and go to the last beast you see and tell us what pages those are. Because I'd like to kind of get an idea of how many beasts are in here.
Well, how am I supposed to count that?
You don't have to count it. Just tell us what page the first beast is.
The first page with a beast is page 8, and the last page with a beast, 195.
Okay, that's plenty. But it gives you a list of all the creatures in the index in the back. It also has a chart of all the creatures by level because, challenge rating is level in this game. It's easy to line up the monsters you want with the players you have at the moment. It makes things so much simpler when you just have a chart. Like it tells you level 1s are goblins, level 2s are jackalopes, level 3s are adventurers or AI zombies. Level 5s are billionaires. Level 6 is abysmals. So many creatures. I like that about Monte Cook games. They do that. They have those pages because a lot of, if you want challenge ratings by, like in D&D, you have to look it up online most of the time just to get a whole list of things in the certain challenge rating you're looking for. Otherwise, you're scrolling through it all just trying to find something that matches the right numbers. And there's a lot of those. If you want to try Cypher System, and I believe either next week or the week after, I will be talking about the Cypher System starter set, which I'm hoping will be good because I would love to have just something I can point out to people and say, hey, if you want to play a game, but you don't want to just play D&D, or you can play fantasy with it too. I'd like to be able to point out just a decent starter set to get people started because starter sets have really easy to understand rules usually, but I haven't got it yet, so I'm not sure. But Monte Cook's been pretty good about this kind of stuff. I know the Numenera starter set was fun. That's where that thing threw heads at you.
Yeah, that's always fun. Heads getting flung at you.
I want to see a Old Gods of Appalachia starter set because it's Cypher System as well. But once you understand the basic rules of Cypher System, any of the settings work because it's a universal. The rules just carry over from. It does add a few extras in it if you want it to, but you don't have to. The basic rule book does have sections for horror and fantasy and all that stuff, post-apocalyptic. It's all there in the standard one if you want it. But the extra books like this one and the We're All Mad Here and all those other stuff, they just add on to that, give you more options and tell you how to theme things or create your own with a little bit better tables to roll on stuff. Different character options is always nice. Do you like things like this? You like bestiaries, don't you?
Yeah.
I knew you did. You can go into them blind and still get an idea what a game is about. In this case, it's about anything you want. That's really all I got to say. I didn't say much about it. They have so much more to cover in this. Like I said, if there's a sample copy or anything, I'll link it. If not, I'll just have the link to the Drive Thru RPG affiliate one. Just Google it. You can find it anywhere. If you want the PDF and the physical version, Monte Cook's site, I get everything from them pretty reliably. It had a problem one time of a package being messed up around the holidays, and I don't blame them. I blame the delivery people, and they took care of it immediately for me and understood. Oh, the comics. We didn't even cover the comic section, did we?
No.
Well, it does look like a page out of a comic book, looking at one of the creatures here. Cosmic Beings is one I'm looking at. It's challenge rating 13, so you'd have to roll 39 on a 20-sided dice. So you best be having some bonuses to bring that down quite a bit. It's like a comic book spread. It's kind of nice. I'm glad they've done that. Like I was just talking about the artwork. It gives you the theme to go with. What is it? Claim the Sky. That's their book all about superheroes. And I'm sure this would work fine in there. Okay. If you like what we've done here, we're part of the Gruesome Gaming Group podcast network. We have this podcast. We have Horrific History and Hauntings. It's where my sister here tells me about everything. It's in the name, Horrific History. And if there's some haunting to go along with it, we'll cover that too. Tragedies.
True crime.
True crime. We cover a lot of little things on there.
Just pretty much a lot of horrific stuff.
Yeah. If it's a little old news, I can laugh about it some. We tried to add some humor into it. We also have Leveling Duo. It's a podcast where me and my friend Dakota, or me and Beth, or all three of us, talk about video games we really enjoy. But we don't come out of it very often. We try to bring out an episode only when we really have a game we want to talk about a lot. Since we don't play a great game every week, we found that one kind of take its time. So there'll be links in the description to all this. A link tree link. It'll take you to our podcast website. Takes you to all our podcasts. You can subscribe to there, see our most recent episodes. And you'll have a link to see all of our socials. If you want to go there, you can reach out to us. That's probably the best way to reach out is through the socials. Be it Threads or X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Just message me or Beth, or just message the account and one of us will get it. If you want to send us an email, there'll be an email below the Linktree link. And if you want to donate to the site or donate to us to help keep the podcast hosted, there'll be a link for that. It uses Stripe, so it's safe and secure. Keep leaving reviews. We enjoy things like that. We are collecting a bunch to do a whole episode about reading them off and thinking, it don't have to be a good review. Input is good no matter what. Anyway, thank you for listening. I've been Ramie.
And I'm Beth.
And this has been Further Nose Quest. Bye-bye.